Hi, this is Kevin Maroney from McLeish CoreBox, and this is the assembly guideline for Boot Rescue's target side cap display. Visuals of what the finished displays will look like with the 80 count on the left and the 60 count on the right. It's very important with merchandisers. That applies to both the product and the displays themselves. If you or otherwise improper products or components of the displays, please set them aside. There should be ample replacements for all. And please ensure that the displays are assembled and loaded flat and facing up throughout the post-assembly and shipping process. In terms of assembling a corrugated, a very good tip to ensure both speed and accuracy and a good looking display is to pre-fold all the scores and remove excess corrugated. It's also going to help that you can identify the top of the display from the bottom by looking at the sheet. The top of the display at this point is pictured on your left, and we want to, in this first step, put together the two sides and lock them in place with the top of the display. You can see Mario, who's our head of design, doing some of the pre-scoring. In the effort to keep this video short, we didn't do all of it, but again, to emphasize, it's a very, very good idea to pre-fold all your scores ahead of time. You can also see that everything looks a little bit short and squat in this video. My apologies, it was shot in portrait and it's displaying here in landscape, so it's a little bit skewed. I think the points are well made though, in terms of how this actually gets constructed. The top of the display has a simple fold over, and that is where the header will be inserted later on. But before we insert the header, or to insert the top row of the pegs at the very least, which has to happen before the header gets placed. Otherwise it's going to become very difficult to put those pegs in. While we go through this, we'll show the different peg patterns for the 80 count and the 60 count. This first video is of the 80 count. There are a series of V-cuts, 10 rows of them, and for the 80 count you're going to use the ones closest to the edge on the left and the right, and there's a middle section of 6 V-cuts where you'll use the 2 to the left and the 2 to the right, giving you 4 rows, 4 pegs in each row. You can then, if you choose, or you can save that for later. The 80 count display will ultimately look like this, with the 10 top to bottom pegs, and 4 across you'll have 40 pegs, and 2 boxes on a peg gives you the 80 count display. And you'll note in this schematic that you've got the Boot Rescue, the black boxes in columns 1 and 3, and the silver Shoe Rescue boxes in columns 2 and 4. In terms of the 60 count display, it's fairly similar other than where the left to right placement happens. The first peg is now the second and third V-cuts from the left and the right side, and in the middle section of those 6 V-cuts you use the middle 2. The display will look like this once completed, still using all 10 rows top to bottom, and that middle column, you'll note, has 5 of the Boot Rescue at the top and 5 of the Shoe Rescue silver boxes at the bottom, so there will be 30 boxes of each for a 60 count total display when you show it. So here again is Mario. This is very, very similar to closing and locking the top of the display. You'll note, however, there is a lip at the front, so there's a slight variation. There's a double score around that lip, and Mario did a good job here of demonstrating what can happen when you don't pre-fold the scores. He didn't do that here, and you can see that bottom lip doesn't have quite the clean edge that we would like to get. Other than that, it's very straightforward, closing the bottom, and at this point you're ready to add pegs and product. You're ready to add the header. The header is quite an important process. There's a couple of key features and elements here. There's a second reason to pre-score the header, and apply the clear pockets that have been provided while the header is flat to avoid any damages. And we'll show the video here. By pre-scoring this header, not only are you making it easier to install, but you're creating a nice guideline to make sure that this clear pocket is attached level and looking nice and uniform. Remove the 2 strips of liner from the adhesive. And also very important is please ensure that the opening of the clear pockets faces up, so that anything put into it won't fall out. So you can note from this video here how you can identify what is up and what is down. And this is pressure sensitive tape, so please give it a little bit of a rub down so it won't fall off. And at this point you're ready to install the header into the display. This could easily be done as a 2 or 3 step process by different people on an assembly line. The only real trick to getting the header in, aside from having that first row of pegs at the very least already installed, is to get those 2 long tabs in through the slots that are on the left and right of the display. And once you've done that, it's very simple. Fold it almost like a buckle and slide it into the slots that are inset a little bit there. And that completes the corrugated display construction. At this point, you could add the rest of the pegs, if not all the products on the pegs, referring to the schematics that were shown earlier. Also, when the product is completed, don't forget to add a kit of the mounting brackets that get sent to Target for assembly at store level. In terms of preparing them for shipping, the corrugated shipper is a flat cutout wrap, and ideally you would have this underneath your display before loading it. Makes it a lot easier. And then you simply wrap it around the display. This is tape it along the sides and at both ends securely, and add any kind of labels that will clearly indicate that it needs to stay in one direction, this side up, or arrows should do. Count display, there is some empty space obviously, and we've provided 2 long scored pads that can be taped together to create tubes, as seen in the previous photo. They'll come to you as a flat scored pad. You can tape them by hand once, twice, or 3 times, and then insert them into the display. And then just repeat the same boxing process that you do for the 80 counts. Label them, and much.